Keep watching to find out how I fixed the broken massager on this recliner by making a new part for it from scratch. Fixing of the recliner continues. I've taken out a little gearbox connection here, and it looks like a bunch of the plastic on the housing broke off. So it looks like I'm going to have to either glue or remake that housing. And this is the heart of the problem. This is basically the gearbox that allows a worm screw to turn this massaging mechanism. And you have the gear there, and there's a worm screw that turns underneath it here. And that worm screw actually runs along this channel. It comes in through this hole here, and as we see, it has basically fallen apart. So this should be attached to this box here as one piece, and then this piece slots right on top. So as the worm screw turns below, it engages this gear, which in turn rotates this, which massages your back. So what I plan to do is 3D print a part, of course. Basically it's gonna look something like this, and hopefully it will all fit together nicely. So I plan to create 3 separate bodies, basically print this part, the mounting plate, and then this main body here to see if everything fits properly. And then the idea is to join them all together to make a monolithic print so that it will not break apart like this piece did. So let's go to Fusion 360 and design some parts. Now this is going to be the most complicated part I've designed so far, so this is going to be a bit of a challenge. Let's see how I do. So I'm building out these separate components to test fit them. For example, I have this plate here, which is supposed to be this bottom portion of the gearbox. As you can see, it's a little off. Got the wrong measurements, but I've since adjusted those, and I think this is set. And next I have this portion, which is the bearing mount, and doing a test fit, the bearings won't fit, so it looks like I need to widen this gap here. So once I've done that, I will go ahead and build out this component and get this part, and then after that I will proceed to the mounting portion of the gearbox, which is something like should fit together something like this. So this part just finished printing, so I'm testing if it fits this part here. So what it's supposed to do is perfect. Alright, it's a little loose, so maybe I might tighten that up a bit, but since this component works, let's continue building up the gearbox. So I have this prototype. It took 2 hours and 44 minutes to print. Let's see if it fits. The bearings fit in. perfect fit, good clearance. And let's see if... So I have the gearbox assembly all kitted out, so everything aligns. All the screws fit in nicely, and the cover fits in nice and snug. So now I'm going to go ahead and model up this component, and then when this is the motor mount, and then once I get this all aligned and fitting nicely to the actual motor, then I'll go ahead and join it to this part. Okay, here's the second prototype. Not the prettiest print, but I'm just going to test to see if it fits the motor. This is the motor mount. Alright, basically I'm just going to join this together to this body, to this component here in Fusion 360. As you can see, actually I have the finished design component here, and I'm doing a quick print now over here, and we'll do a test fit. And if that actually works, I'm going to do a final print at 100% infill, so that it would be a solid piece of plastic. Right now I'm doing a 15% infill, so a lot of this is going to be hollow, but again I just wanted to test for fit and positioning. And this is probably going to be a long print. I guess there's 5 hours, more than 5 hours on the timer here. So I guess we'll check this tomorrow morning. So here's the completed first prototype. Everything is all joined together. Looks like it printed okay. There's still some weird printing issues. Mostly because I didn't use any support to print the overhangs. So when it printed like this, the filament had nothing to support it underneath. But overall, looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and clean it up and test fit it. So let's see how it goes. So here's the completed, here's the prototype version of the gearbox. It fits nicely on the massage chair assembly, and a few points I need to adjust is this base plate's a little bit thin, so what I'll probably do is make some shims so I can like stack it up here so that it rises up to the proper level. And that's pretty much all I really need to modify. So I'll make those changes and print up a final version. So here's the final design loaded up in the slicing program. I'm using an infill of 90%, so this thing is almost solid, because I want the part to be super rigid and I don't want it to break like the old part did. So estimated print time is about almost 10 hours. So I've got it loaded up in the printer here, and we'll come back in the evening and see how it looks like. So I have hopefully the final print of this part done. It took me basically 4 tries. This is the first prototype. Made sure everything's fit. Then when I did did it with like a 90% infill, so it would be super solid, so it wouldn't break. We had a little bit of a problem during printing, and everything shifted over when it was near the end. So this was messed up. I printed another one with this one. It printed out fine, but then when I went to compare it again with the original, I discovered that it actually was a little bit off in terms of the height. You can see the mounting points a little higher on this one. So the motor mount here is actually about like 2 millimeters longer compared to this one. So I shortened that and came up with this version. It just finished printing. Took it about almost 8 hours. So I'm gonna take this off, clean it up, and hopefully there's no other issues, and mount it onto the chair. During my initial prototyping phase, I never actually installed the gearbox fully with all the bells and whistles on it, and when I did that with my last final print, I discovered there was actually there was a measurement that was off. So I redesigned it, and I did a quick printout, and this time I've fully installed it. Everything is in place, and this time everything lines up nicely. Everything fits. The massaging mechanism goes in nicely. The motor does not hit at the very top. The last time it would actually hit the top of this chair, and we can test all the functions. Everything works as it should. Or maybe not. Alright, there might be a tolerance issue here still. Let's see what's up. Alright, well, maybe we need to move this down a little bit more some more. Okay, back to design. So here is the final print of this gearbox part for the recliner, and this is the original. So I made 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a 5th one in the recliner right now. That was the final testing prototype, and this is the final version, done at 80% infill, so it's pretty solid. A design note I'd like to point out is I made the attachment holes elongated ovals. So this allows me some movement when aligning it with the holes, the mounting holes in the recliner. My first couple prototypes I had just drilled holes right through, and in testing out these prototypes I found out the holes weren't quite exactly aligned. So these elongated holes will give me movement to align it, so I can get the proper fit without having to nail the holes exactly. I just finished coating the rim of these discs with epoxy resin, so it is nice and smooth, and the edge is not as sharp as before. Kind of fudged up this side a little bit, The resin was already hardening a bit, so there's a little bit of roughness, but still, it's much smoother than the bare naked rubber discs. So let's put this thing together. Here it is with everything finally installed, and it works. So oh, there it is. And that. There we have it. Fixed. So here it is, the completely fixed recliner. Let's test it out. Yay. So there you go. One less piece of junk in the garbage dump. Yay.